Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the In Between the Stitches podcast. I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
What's going on?
It is cold.
Yeah, it is cold.
It is very cold. If you're in the DFW area the past couple days, it has gotten into the negatives. I know a lot of people, really weren't going to class yesterday. I think the general philosophy amongst most people was if it's got a negative sign next to that number, I'm not getting out of the house.
Well, for one, my class was canceled, so I had an excuse not to go.
Yeah, I had classes canceled too. So it was a nice little, I don't want to call it, it wasn't a snow day. It was just a cold day.
Yeah, it was just cold.
But it has been, I would have to say, this is not going to turn into a meteorology podcast, but that I prefer the extreme cold versus the extreme heat.
Depends. Like if I'm home and I got a pool to jump into, I'll favor the heat. But
obviously, I'm just saying that,
just in general, I have honestly, I don't know. I feel like I can dress, with less clothes to feel less hot when it's hot out, but I don't have enough clothes to put on to make myself feel warm when it's that cold.
Well, that's a you problem.
It is. Maybe I should layer more.
Anyway.
This is a sports podcast.
Speaking of ice and cold and some sports, hockey has really been at the forefront of sports news the past couple days, past week, because of the Four Nations face-off. It has been a lot of fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And we'll dig into a little bit of the aspect of this has been a really fun All-Star break for hockey. We'll dig into that when it comes to basketball a little bit, but we got the championship game is tonight at 7. It is Canada versus the U.S. Part 2. 9 seconds into the first match, they were dropping gloves and fighting. So tonight should be a lot of fun. Bragging rights for either country. No matter what, I think if you're rooting for your country, and there's a bit of a big brother little brother mentality, I think, on the part of Americans towards Canada. And there's a part of, I think, Canada where they just look at themselves as we're nice and blah, 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 but America's so mean and they're awful, and so we're going to boo their national anthem, and they drop gloves 9 seconds in because they booed the national anthem. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Stars coming in this All-Star break, though, are 35-18-2. They're second in the West. Ottinger got the start in the net for the U.S., I think, against Sweden. Mm-hmm. There was one goal that was just, and I think he let up like 3 goals, and it wasn't a great performance, but one of them was he was screened completely, and the guy flicked it up like it hit the top of the bar and went in. There's no way Odger could have saved that, So he played okay. It's been fun seeing all the different stars. Granlund had a big shot for, I think, Finland. We've got like 4 stars playing for Finland because we're Dallas, and apparently we like Jim Nill likes Finnish players, but it has been really, really cool to see this. Yeah. So
no, it's been great. I mean, I'm not going to repeat what you said because everything you said is correct. It's been great. It's entertaining. Excited for tonight's game, and looking forward. I'm excited for the Stars to be back in action.
Yeah, they think they're back Saturday.
Yeah.
So we only get a real one day of no hockey before we get the Stars back.
Yeah.
Basketball is also was in their All-Star break, and of course, I think people were definitely comparing the All-Star break of the NBA to what the NHL is doing this year. Should the NBA do a World versus U.S. game? Would that make guys want to play? Because it's just, the All-Star game, no one plays hard. No one plays defense. No one's trying to, win the game. It's just, let's just all put up shots and just rain down, just have fun. And, you have a guy that only plays in the G League in Mac McClung who's won the last 3 dunk contests. It's just the NBA has a problem of, and I think this is where the load management thing, it kind of furthers that, is not only do the star players not want to play, all these games, they don't even want to participate in the All-Star game or the dunk contest. They don't want to do anything. And it's just, so I think there's a frustration on the part of basketball fans, and I would say I am a basketball fan, but not to your level, where it's why would I want to watch Mac McClung win the dunk contest? I don't know who Mac McClung is, except for a dunk contest. He's won it 3 times now. That's the only reason he's a relevant person, is he's won a dunk contest 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, trending on social media is, John Morant was typing saying, Matt kind of makes me want to dunk. And then he asked Aaron Gordon and other guys who everybody, and Zion Williams and players that everybody wants to see dunk. So maybe the dunk contest is trending in the right direction. Mac McClung really has revamped the excitement for the dunk contest. But for the All-Star game and just the game itself, this, I understand what they were trying to do with the new concept this year. Just did not work. And there's too many ads, commercials, just unnecessary things outside of the game. And people were really getting frustrated with that. And there was another point which Draymond Green actually brought up he was doing the pregame show, and he made a good point. And he was saying, a lot of these guys, dream of, and work so hard of becoming an all-star one day. It's a huge accomplishment for some of these players. And, and the concept they had this year was, it's single elimination for, well, what if you're a guy that's a first-time all-star and you got eliminated in the first round? Well, you're done. The all-star game is not supposed to be 10 minutes of basketball and then you're done. It's supposed to be, you get to play with the best of the best and just have an entertaining, experience. And that's where Draymond, it was a really good point. And I really do think they should go back to I believe it was the 2020 concept where there were 3 different quarters and there's target scores at the end. And each quarter, winner of the quarter between the East and the West, or Team LeBron, Team Giannis, whatever it was, their charity's got $100,000. So there's an initiative, in playing. So, there's something to play for. And then when you get to the target score later in the last quarter, that's when the players started to play, like even harder than they played before. So I think they should go back to that concept moving forward. But nonetheless, All-Star break over. NBA resumed last night with one game, the Hornets at the Lakers. Unfortunately, Lakers took a loss. Luka took a loss. Luka's still not looking himself right now. And it's, we're going to stress this, every time, it's a whole new experience, play style, chemistry that he's going to have to develop, because he's playing with 2 other guys that are very ball dominant players, and it's just not how he's ever played before. It's a whole new it's a whole new everything for him. And, a lot of things that I saw online was, Luka plays better when he's happy, and he doesn't look happy right now, and he's not playing to his standard, and that'll come. But for right now, he's struggling, but he'll be all right. When it's a guy like Luka, he'll be okay. The Mavs are back in action tomorrow, taking on the Pelicans. Gonna get some guys get back from injury, but also still without Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. AD, some news today, some good news, some rare good news. Every time there's a notification that pops up with the Dallas Mavericks in it, it's something negative. But AD making good progress, 2 weeks reevaluation. So hopefully he'll be back on the floor here soon. But other than that, Mavs back in action. Gotta find a way to survive without all of our big men and just win. Yeah. Not much more to say.
I mean, with the Mavs, it's just, it's been nothing but just, it was awful news, and then it's just been a series of just, letdown. You want my opinion about the All-Star game? I think the NBA, I'm gonna disagree with you. There's too many gimmicks. Quit. The All-Star game is supposed to be, it originated actually in the Negro Leagues. And then the MLB was like, hey, that's a cool idea. I'm going to take that. The All-Star game for both was supposed to be what happens when you get all of the best players on one team or on 2 teams, right, and they're going to face each other. That is the point of an All-Star game. And in baseball, that's always been the point. It still is the point, and it's also because baseball has a lot more. I think of all of the sports in their history, baseball has always had the best division of leagues, because they actually had a very different way of playing the American League by 1975 because of the DH. No, not 75, like 76, 77, somewhere in there. I don't remember. Somewhere in the mid-70s, it changed because the American League had the DH now. It was more offense-based. National League was more speed, pitching, defense-based. That's, the opposition of identities.
Right.
And it made the All-Star game a little more fun because you have, and you didn't have, this is the only time these guys are going to get to really play each other until maybe the World Series. So, and baseball's always had that. Still, our All-Star game is still one of the best, if not the best, because it's probably only the really true All-Star game anymore. The NHL has, right, they still do All-Star games. This year's just a diversion, Which I like this. Every few years, do something like this, where it's just, hey, we're not going to do like the World Baseball Classic, where it's like all of these different countries. We're going to break it down to 4, and there you go play. Because like Ovechkin can't play because he's Russian.
Right.
So there's no Russian team, so that there's some kinks to work out, but it's been a lot of fun to watch. I think, and baseball does have the World Baseball Classic, so you don't need that, but basketball might benefit from a World versus U.S. concept. But again, like I said, concepts are what's ruining it right now. Football, you're never going to have an all-star game, truly, because no one is going to want to hit. Nobody. And
the Pro Bowl has become flag football. So
the Pro Bowl is flag football, and to be honest, no, I'm not going to watch it. But of all of the types of concepts you could have for football, that's the best one. Because now you get to just see the guys without, you get to see how fast the receivers are and stuff. It's kind of fun. There's no pads. There's none of that restriction on your movement.
Right.
I think the skills challenges are really fun.
Oh, yeah, those are great. Those are great.
And every sport has good skills.
For both the NBA. I mean, the three-point contest,
sport.
the skills, yeah, it's great.
Three-point contest, dunk contest. Hockey has the precision shooting, I believe. Football has, the accuracy
Right.
and like the trick shots. And baseball's got the home run derby.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun in the mini games, but when it comes to the real game, none of the players in basketball or football are playing hard because they don't want to get hurt. Understandable, but still, it's not fun for the fans. And so then you get hockey and baseball, and they look like they're actually playing hard. They're not going to you're not going to hit somebody, or you're not going to start a fight, but it's still. I watch the All-Star game every year, and it's entertaining because I'm watching Paul Skeens face, Aaron Judge, and that's all eyes are glued to this matchup because I want to see what happens, right? So we'll see. It's just the NBA All-Star game is just too many concepts.
They're gonna do something to fix it, and they're trying, and I don't know what they're gonna do. I think maybe some incentives might have to be involved, just to get some more motivation towards the players. But I don't know. I personally would go back to the 2020 concept. I think that was a really good concept. I really enjoyed the All-Star game, and the players have something to play for. So I think that would be a good thing to result to next year. And then if that doesn't work for whatever the reason, then you try something new. But I would go back and see how successful the 2020 concept next year would be. But also with more NBA news, just to cover some unfortunate news, just the entire league, no matter what team you support. Victor Wembanyama out for the rest of the season with, you can explain. I don't have it up next to me the correct term, but a blood clot, and I think it was. Let me just look real quickly just to make sure. It is a deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder, which essentially is a blood clot that has developed. It's an isolated condition in his right shoulder. So the Spurs shut him down, and that's just, it's very unfortunate. The Spurs are optimistic that he'll be back next year, but, even as Mavs fans, right, who, Spurs are longtime rivals, right, and, you never liked the Spurs, but you don't want to see one of the, most exciting players in the league, have to be shut down, especially because of, a medical condition. And, we wish the best for Wemby and hope that he is back and, 100% healthy at the start of next season. But, yeah, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on it, but just, praying for Wemby and a speedy recovery.
Yeah, it was a shock, I think, to see that, like, wow. It wasn't like he got hurt and everyone's like, okay, he's hurt. How long is it? It was just a very...
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
It came out of left field.
Yeah, and he was questionable for tonight's game, which is actually being played in Austin at Moody Center versus the Suns. So, with the whole expansion of a team to Austin, trying to develop or whatever, I don't know. But also Durant.
Interesting.
Durant coming back to Austin to play. Obviously his alma mater. That he's a Horn, but yeah, it's just he was questionable. Wemby was questionable with an illness going into the game. And I guess that was just not really a smokescreen because it's not really hiding anything. And then that came out of nowhere, just like Wemby shut down for the season. Like, whoa. And then they come out with more news saying it's a blood clot and making sure he gets the proper treatments to be able to make a speedy recovery. And it's just crazy moment.
Yeah, definitely very out of left field and very, 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 and very, very sad.
Yeah.
But we move forward into baseball as, guess what, folks? I am pleased and happy to announce there will be baseball played today. The Cubs and the Dodgers will play here in about 45 minutes. I believe you can listen to it for free. They actually might show it on MLB TV. So that's exciting. We have baseball again, which gets me.
I wonder if any of the players are going to actually play. Or if it's just going to be
Yamamoto starting, so he'll pitch.
So play an inning. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna see some player. It's baseball. I don't care. It's baseball. It's baseball. It's baseball. Do you watch training camp? Do you watch like summer league for basketball?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. For the Mavs, at least.
Think of it like that.
Yeah.
This is. We have something to watch now, and then tomorrow, Rangers play.
Yeah.
Royals. You can listen to it. It's going to be on. I don't know if it's just going to be on 105.3, but it's going to be through the MLB app. It is going to be listened to it, which is cool. So you can't watch, but there's only a handful of games you're going to be able to watch the Rangers this year. So that sucks. But you still get to listen. Evo will start. I think they said Evo and like Mallory are going to go 1-2, and then they'll figure it out. But it's a lot of fun.
Are they 9-inning games? Might be a dumb question, but or are they 6?
I thought that sometimes they would do 7. And then sometimes they play 9. Sometimes they just play 5.
Okay.
It's one of those.
I prefer it just for our health to be like a 5-inning game, 6-inning game.
They're kind of like scrimmages. My dad would actually he's probably going to text. I guarantee you, because he's done it before. Dad, if you know the answer to this, please text me so that next week I can come in and correct myself. A little news: they signed Luke Jackson to a major league deal.
Rangers legend Luke Jackson.
And then they transferred. I actually think the bigger news was how they opened up a roster spot for him, which was they put Josh Sborz on the 60-day.
Yeah.
So it's like, dang, the one guy who you thought maybe he could close is 60-day, he gone. So I guess that injury's a lot worse than everybody thought it was. So that sucks. Maybe Chris Martin will step. I don't know.
I have a feeling that the bullpen is going to give me a lot of heart attacks this year.
the John Gray stuff is nice, but you're not going to pay him the money you're paying him to close. And some Ranger fans seem to not understand that he actually can close. He's not terrible.
Amazing.
Did anybody not pay attention to the World Series when he had 2 huge relief appearances for us? Yeah. Saved our butts twice. So, especially game 1. So, I mean, like, For Gray, leave him as a starter. He's not your closer. Quit trying to get cute with it. He's your, I'd be more interested in, hey, do you want to have, I don't even want to have Leiter or Rocker do it, because you don't want a young guy who you're expecting to be a starter come in and try to close. Maybe Bradford, if you really wanted a change of pace. Here comes a 91 mile per hour
I'm just
fastball.
thinking, I feel like with a closer, you just want a little higher velo, and I don't know if Bradford's fit for the.
I've always wondered, at the end of his contract, are they going to want DeGrom to be like, hey, you're a 2-inning closer now? Maybe even 3-inning closer.
Yeah, maybe.
He'd be pitching in more games. I mean, would you rather have DeGrom for, 5 innings a start for 25 starts, or do you want DeGrom for, I don't know, 50 games, but you know what I mean, and whatever innings. I mean,
yeah.
It's just a matter of, we'll see.
Now, DeGrom would not give me heart attacks in a bullpen.
If there's anybody that I trust to work this bullpen, there are only 2 people that I trust to work out this bullpen. I trust Mike Maddox and I trust Bruce Bochy. Most definitely. Again, predictions for that will not be coming until right before opening day, because all I need to do is predict that, hey, this team's going to be pretty good. And then there's, I'm not saying this is just an example. Hey, the Reds, I'm picking them as a wild card team. And then second spring training game, Ellie De La Cruz hurts himself. I don't want that to happen. I'm knocking on the desk here. Hurts himself, and he's going to be out for the first 2 months. Well, that's going to really impact the Reds, right? Yeah. So I don't like to make those predictions until we get to opening day the week of, and we know, okay, here's how each roster. Because, there also could be a surprise guy or a prospect that we don't know. Maybe he's going to make the team, and he lights it up like Wyatt Langford last year. So we'll see. God, remember that Langford run in spring training? Every day it felt like he was just hitting one that was 450 feet.
Yeah.
And you're just
once he made it, and once the regular season started, everybody was expecting him to home run every game. And
look, major league pitching is a little bit different than facing spring training pitching.
I'm expecting a big year out of Langford, though.
I think we all are. Carter, his back issue, we got some bad news on that. I don't know if you want to call it bad news. It's not good.
I mean,
news.
it seems like he'll be starting regular opening day.
Did you hear about it?
Yeah.
It's so if
More
you didn't
chronic.
hear about it, it's a chronic issue.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is gonna be something that he's gonna deal with for his career, which is very unfortunate. So that he, you know what, Chase, I'm sorry, he does get a load management pass.
Yes.
He's got a chronic back issue, and so for Carter, what you don't want is that flaring up. And like he said, he said, hey, I saw a specialist. I have some better ways of treating it. I have some better ways of getting ready for games and rehabbing and not rehabbing, but like making sure that getting treatment, making sure that it doesn't flare up and maybe is bad. But we'll see. Hopefully it's not an issue. I feel okay if it becomes an issue and you have to have Tavares again in there. But it's just long term, you're expecting him to be your long term center fielder. And right now, you don't want that to be in jeopardy. But right now the lineup looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
You've got
Yes, it does.
You're going to have opening day right now, if you're looking at it, my prediction would be, because we're facing Boston, right? Yeah. So opening day. So their ace is crap. It's going to be Crochet.
Yeah.
That's a lefty. Well, screw that. Opening day, I want it to be, right now you're looking at your everyday lineup being Heim at catcher. I'm going to say Berger at first, Simeon at second, Young at third, Seager at shortstop, and then from left to right, Langford, Carter, Garcia with Jock DHing. Boy, is that a fun lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of getting back to your 2023 lineup where that left field hole you had on your roster where you're having Robbie Grossman. Now you've got Langford. You upgraded in center field with Carter over Tavares. And then a lot of the other key pieces like Garcia and Young and Seager and Heim and Simeon are still in place. You get Lowe out of the way. I love Lowe, but you get him away.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in Berger. He's got a little more pop. And I say a little bit, I mean a lot more pop. And then you kind of basically sub out, I think, a very equivalent in terms of Garver for Jock. Because I think they're very similar types of hitters where they're just going to mash the crap out of the ball. So this is going to be a fun team.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very fun clubhouse from what I've heard about the interviews with Berger and Peterson. Peterson's going to be a nice fit. Because I think you're kind of missing that, I don't want to say that clown, but that kind of that funny guy that you had with Hedges and Lowe were both kind of that. I think Jock is kind of one of those type of guys.
So. And not to mention, off the bench, Leote and Higashioka.
Leote, Higgy,
and
Duran, and Smith.
Yeah, I mean, there's
you're going to have a
lot of utility guys off that bench. So
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
You're going to have a silver slugger on your bench in Josh Smith. I mean, come on. How could you not feel good about that?
Seager's day is off. You put Smith at short, and boom, you
feel great about it.
Yeah.
And then you've got depth at the minor league level. You're going to have guys like Jonathan Ornelas, who maybe he can't hit, but we've got 8 other guys that can.
I like his defense.
And his defense is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think a guy that you're going to see, and this is kind of be one of my, I'm going to hint, I'm going to tease this a little bit, is a prediction for me is that by the end of the year, Dustin Harris will have carved out a role on this team because he can play corner outfield and corner infield, I believe. I don't know if he can play third, but I know he's a first baseman, corner outfielder, which is kind of what Jock is, I know. But Harris, with injuries, you feel good about having him come up. So you're going to have some pieces.
I think Walcott opening day starter.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You're real funny.
Yeah. I'm excited.
It's
going
to be fun
though.
to see him in spring training.
Yeah.
See how he can handle him. We're both older than him.
Yeah.
He was born in 06.
It's crazy.
Chase. He was born
crazy.
We have guys that were rushing in the fraternity that were born the same year as this guy, and he's going to be in major league camp for the Rangers. It's going to be a lot of fun. A little bit of baseball news. Bregman signed with the Red Sox. There's been some weird Devers is like, I'm not. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not moving third, and he's like, I'm a third baseman.
I love that they pressed me. He just went no.
Yeah,
he didn't
starting
even
off the team chemistry on a nice start.
Well, not even that. He didn't wait for his interpreter. Normally, you wait for the interpreter, and even though Devers understands what he said, or I don't know if it was a guy or a girl that asked the question. Usually, you wait for the reporter to ask the question. And then the interpreter interprets it to Devers, and then Devers gives his answer in Spanish, and then the interpreter says, okay, he says this, right? And that is usually how this goes. Yeah. Not saying that Devers doesn't understand.
No, I mean, A lot of these guys
speak English.
A lot of these guys do understand English and speak English. They just don't like speaking it nationally or publicly because they don't want to be like Ohtani, for example, and Leclerc. Like I remember Leclerc specifically because
their accent.
Yeah, but I mean, they just don't want to. They don't want to be. Yeah, they don't want to be embarrassed for their accent, but they understand it. They can speak it.
So Devers didn't even wait for the interpreter to give. He just went no.
Yeah. I play third or something like that.
Bypassed the entire process, which I found to be funny. I thought it was very, very funny.
Yeah.
We'll see though. I mean, Bregman reunites with Cora, so everybody keep an eye on the trash can in the clubhouse because you never know. Yeah, the Red Sox have built a really fun, interesting team in a loaded division.
Yeah.
Cubs signed Justin Turner. The Yankees extended Aaron Boone. People got mad about the Aaron Boone thing, and I will still maintain I still think he's a really good man. He's a good manager, and that because if he managed for any other team, they would love him. Just that you manage for the only team that is, if you're not winning multiple championships, you're considered a failure as a manager.
Yeah.
Welcome to New York. That's pretty much. There's something else. Is there anything else with baseball that I'm forgetting? Because I know there's something, and I'm blanking completely on it right now.
I'm trying to think. I got trade. I got or a signing or.
No, but there was just something that popped in my mind, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't put it on our little script here," and it's completely slipping my mind. If it comes to me later, I will.
Dodgers are continuing to lead Shohei off going into next year.
One of them is Anthony Rendon. Is going to be probably out for the year. People are saying he's probably out for the Angels contract. Boy, did we dodge a bullet there, Chase.
Yeah.
I mean, 2019, we're thinking going 2020. I don't know about you, but I wanted Rendon.
Oh yeah, I mean, coming off of the World Series with Washington, I mean, lead off. I mean,
and then
great player.
And then it sounded like we didn't want to bid for him, and I was like, what? No. And then poof, we got Josh Young, and it's like, man, I'd rather have Josh. I know Josh Young's had some injury problems too, but
those are more like unfortunate injuries.
Not only that, but the difference is that when he's on the field, he loves baseball and he wants to be there. Rendon looks like he's just, he's. I mean,
he said it. I do this for a job, not because I enjoy it.
Which is very unfortunate, and definitely not what you want to hear from your superstar player. Oh, that's what it was. I remembered it. Vlad Guerrero did not reach a deal with the Blue Jays, and people are speculating where he's going to go. And one of the places that people are starting to float around is the Texas Rangers. So I don't know if you're in on Vlad, but I definitely would be.
Of course. There's just a lot of guys that on this team that can play the first base position. And
yeah, but a 26-year-old superstar?
Yeah. Listen, it wouldn't make up for Luka, but it would help. Bring a young 26-year-old generational talent.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we move to our final thing of the day, and that is football. Again, this is, and I think I said this last week, and I'll continue to say, I'll probably say this again this week before we get into real spring training. Because by the end of next week, we'll be in full spring training mode. This is the dead time of sports because the NBA and NHL are on their off season. Baseball's not playing, and then the NFL is on. Everything's not playing right now, Chase.
Yeah.
So we're kind of starved for sports. But the Cowboys, Micah reported that they were making some traction on an agreement, but nothing too set in stone. So I guess that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? It's whatever.
Right.
We'll see about it later. But the big one is that the Cowboys finalized their coaching staff, and I'm going to list off the coaching staff right now. Obviously, as the head coach, we're going to have Brian Schottenheimer, and he has put together, I would say, an A-plus staff. I'm very excited for this staff. You go and you poach Clayton Adams to be your offensive coordinator, who's been a big driving force and the reason the Cardinals have any offense and run game is hey, Chase is the one making the noises
today. Sorry, I
today.
kicked the table.
Junior Adams as your wide receivers coach. Now the Cowboys are acquiring college coaches. I mean, they have not really done recently, which is really nice.
It's funny because, these are good coaches. These are nice. These are different. But that's what makes it more exciting that it's different. It's not. Now, listen, Schottenheimer was in the organization. Fine. But he's going out there and he's getting guys that I would never have guessed that we have on this staff. And I'm sure you're in the same boat as that. I would have never seen us have Clayton Adams as our offensive coordinator. I could have never guessed that. But they're just doing a lot of things that successful teams do. Is they go out and they experiment, they do different things, and it's nice. It's nice to have some hope going into next season that they can be a successful team.
Yeah, I mean, of all of the main coaches, and I'm not going to list off the strength and conditioning staff, but of the position coaches and everything, only only four of them are holdovers from the McCarthy staff. So that's a big thing. One of them is Ramon Chinyoung, who's the assistant offensive line coach. It's fine. You're the assistant. Ken Dorsey is going to be your pass game specialist, former offensive coordinator of the Bills. Some people were like, he's in the OC of the Browns. People are like, is that the reason their offense sucks? And people are like, no, that's because they have Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. And any offense that has Deshaun Watson as a starting quarterback is probably not going to be playing very well. But Ken Dorsey, hey, I like it. He's not going to have much power, but he's going to help with game planning, and so his official title is pass game specialist. Ryan Feder, who is a holdover, is the game management coordinator, so that's cool. Derek Foster, the running backs coach, poached him from I almost said St. Louis. Sorry, Rams fans. The Saints from New Orleans. That's the team. They hired, I'm going to say it's DeLay Harding as the, ready for this chase? QB fellowship.
I like it.
I love it. And then Connor Riley is the offensive line coach. This one's a big one because he's coming from Kansas State, where they've had some really good offensive lines, and they are a very run-first team with Avery Johnson, right? That's his name, as their quarterback.
Kansas State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've had Deuce Vaughn and now DJ Giddens, who's going to the draft, and they've had guys like Cooper Beebe, and hey, some of these names are sounding kind of familiar.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal for me, is to hire a really good. To me, this is coming from an offensive lineman. It is a big deal to get a good offensive line coach. Yeah. Steve Shimko is the quarterback's coach as a holdover. I think he was like one of those like way down there assistants, and he's now being promoted to quarterback's coach, I believe. Tyquan Underwood is the assistant wide receivers coach. He comes from, I don't remember where I think he's been coaching with the Rams. I want to say he's kind of been around. He's got great hair. If you haven't seen, he's got like a really weird haircut. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And then Lunda Wells is the big holdover that everyone was really worried was going to get poached. Dan Quinn really wanted him, but nope, he stays with Dallas, and he stays as the tight ends coach. Now to the defensive side of the football, the big one I think he was actually the first hire that Schottenheimer made was Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator. That's a big one. I'm very excited for it. I think he, is going to fit in well here. I think you're going to have a defensive coordinator who's going to be here for 2, 3, maybe 4 years.
Hope so.
I don't think this is going to be. This is, I think, a Dan Quinn, not a Mike Zimmer thing. Right. Excuse me. He brought in Brian Bing as his assistant defensive line coach. Another a very, I don't want to call him a minion because minion implies that he's bad. An Eberflus coach that he likes is Dave Borgonzi. He's going to be the linebackers coach. That's a big one because that was Eberflus's area of expertise. He was our linebackers coach for years. Then he moved to the Colts. He's always stressed linebacker play. J.J. Clark is going to be the defensive assistant quality control coach, basically just a guy to be in the room. Andre Curtis, another big Eberflus guy, is going to be the defensive pass game coordinator and safeties coach. So think kind of what Al Harris has been doing.
Yeah.
David Overstreet, this is a big one. He's going to be the secondary corners coach. So Curtis and Overstreet are kind of combining to be what Al Harris was. If you are an East Texas football fan, I don't remember the high school, but Overstreet's dad was like a East Texas high school football legend and went to play. I think he played for the Dolphins. Was a very, very big deal in East Texas. And this is how his son is coaching. And I really liked what I heard from him. And they had a press day. They had like a media day, I think yesterday or the day before. And so there's been a lot of sound bites coming out from all the different coaches. Tanzel Smart is going to be another defensive assistant quality control coach. Darian Thompson, ex-Cowboy safety great, if you remember, is the secondary. He's a secondary nickels coach. He's the only defensive holdover from the I guess we'll call it Mike Zimmer staff. But I think he was here under Quinn, so he's been here a few years. And then I think a really big hire was Aaron Whitecotton as your defensive line coach. Whitecotton comes from the Jets. The Jets, with what I'm blanking on his Jeff Ulbrich was doing, and Ulbrich's defense is very, I don't blitz. We get pressure with 4, right? That's it, right? Well, that's what Eberflus's defense is. So you're hiring a coach that has come from the same philosophy of Robert Saleh, and Ulbrich, where they're not blitzing a ton and they're just getting pressure with 4. White Cotton knows how to do that, and now he's our defensive line coach. And then special teams, Nick Sorensen, you poached the Niners defensive coordinator. I think it's very interesting you got him. He's got some experience. I think he was the Jaguars in 21. He was their ST coach. And then he brought in one of his guys, Carlos Polk, to be the assistant on that side of the ball. So you finalized your coaching staff. Chase, your thoughts? As I've been talking for a while now.
It all, excuse me. It all sounds great, right? It all sounds great. They're doing the right things, you think. But only time will tell, really. Got to see how they perform on the field. That's what I care about. I know that what it sounds like they're doing good. I hope they're doing good, but only time will tell. Also, on the Cowboy news, kind of going towards more of the draft and off-season conversation. They came out today saying that they're not going to splurge on a free agent running back. And I know you were talking earlier, there's not that Derrick Henry out there this year. But you would think that really does, we all predict they would draft a running back at some point in this draft anyway. But, that really kind of tells you that, look, we're really trying to look for a young running back to really build around and not having to splurge, to go get a free agent.
By the way, I lied. The game did not start at 2:30. It started at 2. As right now we have spring training baseball as Yamamoto, I believe, strikes out Vidal Brujan to open up something.
Sit back.
Anyway, point is, back to football. I wanted to say a quick thing. I saw that it was live, and I was like, oh, that's cool. On to the NFL. That's pretty much all the Cowboys news, just, finalizing the staff, and I really like what they've put together. On the NFL side of things, do you have something you wanted to...
No.
Okay, sorry. You had something. I was like, oh, did I miss something? Let me see if I can find the salary cap thing, and I can't find it. I don't know why it's not on here, and it's not, and it's frustrating. It's gonna go up like $25 million. It's one of those. It's gonna go up from like $255. Either
I think it was
either 278
and
or 281. Yeah. Somewhere in that range is where it's going to fall. So big deal for Cowboys fans. And that's actually more than they said most executives were expecting. So that sounds like, it's going to be really, really good. We're going to have more space than we thought. Obviously, everybody knows that if we can restructure, some guys, we're going to have cap space. I will start championing this on here. Do not let the Jones boys gaslight you into not understanding how the cap works. They can free up so much money by restructuring deals. And see, the Cowboys have a very narrow view of the cap. They don't understand. Jason, I don't think they understand this. The cap goes up unless another pandemic happens. Knock on, don't see that happening. Please, God, no. We can't. I don't want to deal with that again. The cap will continue to go up. So what restructuring is you're pushing future money down the line, right? You're pushing it. Well, Chase, let me ask you a question. If something is expensive right now, right? You're going to owe a guy, let's say, I don't know, X amount of dollars. You push it down the road, you're going to owe him double that, right? Well, the cap's but that's 4 years down the road. The cap will be, you know what I mean? Like, that money looks bad right now. Under that year's cap, it may be manageable. This is what the Eagles have been doing. People have been wondering how the Eagles have been able to sign all these guys. One is they have a quarterback that's not making a big money contract. That helps, but they're pushing a lot of this money to 2029, to 2030, when they know the cap's going to be, God, imagine how much it's going to be by then, right? If it's going up 15, 20 every year, that's going to be a really large increase by that point. And you can manage it. The Cowboys don't seem to understand this because they keep saying how awful the Eagles is. Their bills. They're going to have to pay the piper real soon, buddy. And they've won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they've won 2 now.
Yeah. Take notes.
We'll
Take
see.
notes.
What else? Combine is next week. I think actually the first day is Thursday, so I'll probably have the combine on right here as we're doing.
Excited for that, just to really see where some of these players might end up in the draft.
The big one I like for the combine is the measurables. You get their height, you get the weight, you can see how fast they run, but you can see their arm length. You can see a lot of those measurables the important measurables
That you can't see when watching film.
Yeah, I can't see if a guy's got. I mean, sometimes it is very obvious if a guy's got 36-inch arms, like Patrick Paul from Houston last year stuck out like a sore thumb because he's got like 36.5-inch arms. Just a massive dude.
Speaking of the draft, I don't know if you saw, but something with James Pierce Jr., that his stock is plummeting because of some off-the-field issues.
There were some off-field concerns, and then somebody retweeted that tweet saying, and I can't say some of the words that the guy used on air, but he said, yeah, this dude's crazy. I went to high school with him.
I saw that guy. Yeah, I saw that.
It's unconfirmed, but I also have gone on some posts that are about Jonte Cook and have mentioned that he was the guy that broke into my high school. So his off-the-field concerns are not a shock to me.
Glad Texas let him, walk.
So it's very possible. I really wanted to say that's what you get when you recruit DeSoto players, but I'm saying that as a Waxahachie guy. I have to disclose it. I'm saying that as I don't like DeSoto and we're rivals. Okay, I have to preface that. I'm just gonna move on now, but we will see if that. I mean, I'm not as high on Pierce because I don't think he can play the run that well. He is a third down, go get the quarterback. He's a pretty good pass rusher. He's nothing. I wouldn't say he's elite, but he's good. He's take him at the top of the second round because you need some pass rush help. He'd be great. But he's going to go in the first round probably just on talent. I don't think he should, but that's me. But the off-field, we will continue to monitor the off-the-field concerns from James Pierce.
Yeah.
And then Kellen Moore was official to the Saints. I can't remember if we mentioned that last week, so I'll go ahead and mention it this week.
Yeah.
And he did hire Doug Nussmeier as his OC. Ex-Cowboys quarterbacks coach followed Kellen because Mike didn't like him. Blah blah blah. Don't want to get into that right now. But yeah, he's starting to build his staff, and it's kind of the worst part about being the last head coach hired is now like, hey, he probably would have been on Robert Saleh, gone. He would have been really in on Matt Eberflus, gone. Apparently, he was really in on Clayton Adams, gone. So all of these guys that you would have for your staff, Ken Dorsey may have been a guy he wanted, gone. Like, you think about all these names that, he probably would have been, that Kellen would have been interested in for his staff, they've already signed. So now you're playing complete catch-up to Shard Choice. He's in Detroit now. Right. So he's going to have to piece together a staff, and who is he going to be, who's going to be his defensive coordinator? We'll have to figure that one out as we move along, and I'll probably, be updating as we go. As it looks like we got runners at the corners, and it is foul. Well, that's going to do it for us. Chase, is there anything else that I'm forgetting that we need to talk about?
No, but you know what? When we end the podcast, there'll be something 2 minutes later that pops up.
Oh, because the Cowboys finalized their staff, I think, Friday, and I'm like, great. This will be old news by the time we get to next Thursday, but still, we talked about it. So we will talk to you guys next week.
See ya.